I thought I knew her. Every laugh, every late-night message, every whispered promise, I thought it was ours. But the truth? I was blind. Completely blind. "You're smiling at your phone again," I said, trying to sound casual, but my stomach twisted. She looked up, eyes sparkling. "Am I? Maybe I'm just happy talking to you." I forced a laugh. "Right, just talking to me." But something in her tone, too light, too practiced, made me uneasy. She noticed. "You're imagining things, aren't you?" "Maybe," I muttered, staring at the coffee cup between us. The steam blurred my vision. Or maybe it was just me avoiding what I didn't want to see. Later that night, my phone buzzed. I glanced at it and froze. A text notification from her. "No, not to me. To him. Can't wait to see you tonight. Missed you." My chest tightened. I read it again. And again. My hand shook. I waited for her to return home, pacing like a caged animal. When she walked in, smiling as if nothing had happened, I couldn't hold it in. "Who's that?" I demanded, waving my phone. Her smile faltered. "Who's what?" "That text. To him. You're still seeing him." My voice cracked, disbelief and anger mingling. She sighed, like I was the one being unreasonable. "You think I'd hide it forever?" "Hide it?" I laughed bitterly. "You've been lying to me this whole time." I didn't mean to hurt you," she said softly, but there was no guilt in her eyes. Just honesty for herself, not for me. I couldn't process it. "Then why? Why did you act like we had something real?" "Because we did. But it doesn't change the past." "The past?" I yelled, my hands clenching. "You mean him? You mean your ex who's still in your life? You chose him over me." She crossed her arms, eyes cold now. "I didn't choose you. I chose what felt right. Back then and now." I laughed, a short, bitter sound. "What felt right? You call destroying me right?" "I'm not destroying you," she said calmly. "You're doing this to yourself." I shook my head. "No, you're the one smiling at him while I think I'm special. I trusted you." She looked away. "People make choices. I made mine. I'm sorry if it hurts, but that's life." I couldn't believe her. The warmth, the laughter, the promises, it had all been a lie. Every late-night conversation, every secret we shared, just nothing. "Nothing," I whispered, feeling tears sting. "It was all nothing to you." She didn't answer immediately. Then, finally, "I cared for you." "I do, but not enough to leave him behind." My heart shattered. That one sentence felt like glass cutting through me. I wanted to scream, to beg, to cry, everything at once, but all I could do was stand there, stunned. You made me a fool," I said quietly, almost to myself. "I didn't make you anything," she replied, turning toward the door. "You chose to believe. That's on you." I didn't argue. I couldn't. I just watched her leave, the sound of her heels echoing in my chest. Once the door clicked shut, I sank to the floor. My hands covered my face. I felt hollow, humiliated, exposed. And somewhere deep inside, a spark ignited. Not just pain, not just heartbreak, but a promise. I'll never be the fool again. I couldn't stop thinking about her. Every corner of my apartment whispered her name. Even the coffee smelled like her, like mornings we'd never have again. "Hey man, you okay?" Jason's voice cracked through my phone. "I'm fine," I said, swallowing the lump in my throat. "You don't sound fine." I said I'm fine. I repeated, harder this time, like saying it loud enough would make it true. There was silence. "All right, I'll check back later," he said finally. I hung up and threw the phone onto the couch. The sound echoed in the empty room, like everything I touched turned hollow. Later, at work, I couldn't focus. My boss called my name. I blinked like I'd just woken from a dream. "Sorry, what? You okay?" she asked, a colleague peeking over her cubicle. "Yeah, fine," I lied, smiling too weakly. Inside, I was crumbling. Her face flashed in my mind, smiling at him, laughing at his jokes. And I had been nothing. Just another chapter she could close without a second thought. At lunch, I walked aimlessly down the street, feeling like a ghost in my own life. I kept seeing her everywhere, the curve of her smile on strangers, the way people laughed at jokes I could never make. "Rough day," a voice said beside me. I turned. An older man, dressed sharply, a kind of calm presence radiating from him, leaned against a lamppost. His eyes were sharp, almost piercing. "Who?" I muttered. "I see it in you," he said. "The weight. The betrayal. The fire you're too afraid to use. I laughed, bitter. And you are? Call me Adrian, he said, offering a small, knowing smile. I've been where you are. I know how it feels to lose someone who never deserved you. You don't know anything about me, I said, though the anger was more to hide the sudden stir of curiosity than disbelief. Maybe not, he admitted, but I know pain when I see it. And I see potential buried beneath the ruin. You're letting her control your life, your thoughts, your every move. That ends now. I scoffed. Control my life? She already destroyed it. No, he corrected softly. You're destroying yourself by letting her. I stared at him, unsure if I should walk away or listen. There was something in his eyes that told me he meant it. Something that made the ache in my chest pulse harder. I don't even know where to start, I admitted. Start with you, he said simply. Not her. Not the lies. Not the past. You. Strength doesn't come from revenge or wishing pain. It comes from claiming your life back piece by piece. I swallowed, trying to steady myself. Could it really be that simple? Could I survive this and rise again? You don't have to do it alone, Adrian added, noticing my hesitation. I can guide you, but the first step is yours. I don't know if I can, I said, voice cracking. You can, he insisted. You have fire in you. You've just been burying it under heartbreak. Let it burn, not her, not anyone. Burn for yourself. I nodded slowly, letting his words sink in. The ache in my chest didn't disappear, but it shifted. Something raw and jagged started forming into determination. Later, I called Jason. Hey, can we meet? Finally, he said, relief in his voice. I've been worried. I just need someone to talk to, I admitted. Of course, man. Always. Sitting across from him at the cafe, I realized how much I'd isolated myself. I hadn't just lost her, I had lost me too. I don't even recognize myself anymore. I confessed. Everything reminds me of her. I can't focus, I can't think straight. Jason leaned back. Then start small. One step at a time. You're alive, man. You can rebuild. I nodded, feeling the first flicker of something I hadn't felt in weeks, hope. Not for her, not for him, not for anyone, but for me. When I left the cafe, I felt lighter, though the pain lingered. Adrian's words echoed in my mind. Strength comes from within, not from her. And for the first time in days, I believed it. I stared at my reflection in the gym mirror, sweat dripping down my face. Who the hell are you? I muttered. Me? I said back, voice steady, sharper than it had been in months. The one who doesn't break over her lies anymore. Yeah? Feels like you're still broken, a familiar voice said behind me. I turned. Daniel, the coworker who loved to mock me, smirked. Thought you'd be curled up somewhere crying. I clenched my fists. Not anymore, I said, letting my tone drip with calm certainty. He raised an eyebrow. Sure, whatever helps you sleep at night. I ignored him and went back to my push-ups, counting each one like I was counting victories yet to come. Inside, I planned. Not her, not them, not anyone. I planned for me. Later, at work, I noticed Sarah, a supportive colleague, waiting near the coffee machine. Hey, she said softly, you're looking different. Confident. I smirked. Yeah? Maybe I finally stopped letting other people's choices define me. She smiled, a real one this time. Good. You deserve that. I nodded and it felt good. Warm even. Like the first spark of life after a long winter. But the real test came when I saw her. Across the lobby, laughing at some joker X told. They looked happy, comfortable, untouched. I felt a jab in my chest, but pushed it down. Good for her, I whispered, though my teeth clenched. Her happiness isn't mine to ruin or care about. Inside, though, I plotted, not revenge exactly, but reclaiming my power. Every step I took, every conversation I had, every glance in the mirror reminded me I was no longer the man she could destroy. Hey, want to grab lunch? Sarah asked, snapping me out of my thoughts. Sure, I said, but let's make it productive. She laughed. Even lunch with you is serious business, huh? Always, I said, and for once it wasn't a lie. That afternoon, Daniel cornered me near the copier. You think you're unstoppable now, he sneered. Still the same loser under the surface. I leaned close, voice low. Watch me. He blinked, surprised, and walked away. For the first time, I felt a thrill, real, sharp, exhilarating. My anger wasn't consuming me. It was fueling me. Later, alone in my apartment, I ran through my plan in my head. Fitness, check. Career on track. Friends, supportive. Self-respect, growing. Every day, I shed pieces of the old me, leaving a sharper, colder version behind. Her life with him haunted me, but in a strange way, it also pushed me. Every laugh she shared, every glance he got, reminded me why I had to rise. I wasn't rising for her. I was rising because I could. I called Jason that night. "You won't believe the day I had," I said, smiling despite the ache in my chest. "Sounds like someone's finally finding their groove," he said. "I am, and I feel unstoppable," I admitted, the words tasting like fire. "You've earned it, man," he said. "I've been waiting for this version of you." I hung up and stared at the ceiling. "Not yet," I whispered. "I'm just getting started." The next morning, I woke early, ran 5 more miles than I had planned, and then pushed my work harder than anyone expected. Every glance at my reflection in the mirror reminded me I was no longer a victim. Daniel's smirk at the office, her laughter in the lobby, every reminder of the past became fuel. Not for hatred, not for obsession, but for the power I hadn't claimed before. Sarah caught my eye across the room. She gave me a small, encouraging nod. I nodded back, acknowledging her support, but mostly acknowledging myself. I was rising from ashes. Not to hurt her, not to prove anything to anyone, but to reclaim the man she could never touch again. And that realization, it felt like flying. I didn't expect to see her. Not here, not tonight, in a room full of people pretending to be someone they weren't. But there she was, laughing, sparkling like nothing had changed. "James!" Her voice stopped me in my tracks. I turned slowly, hiding the storm inside. "Good evening," I said evenly, smiling just enough. Her eyes widened, a flicker of something I couldn't name. Surprise? Regret? I didn't let it show. I had learned that composure was power. "I didn't expect you," she said, stepping closer. "You look different." I raised an eyebrow. "Different how?" Confident. Successful. Not broken." I shrugged, letting the words wash over me. "People change. I'm no exception." Her smile faltered slightly, but she recovered. I miss talking to you." I laughed softly, a dry, controlled sound. "Funny. I haven't missed being lied to." She blinked, caught off guard. "It wasn't like that." Wasn't like that." I interrupted, keeping my voice calm, precise. "You chose him. You chose to destroy what we had." "I didn't destroy anything," she said, eyes pleading now. "I made a choice. Back then, I thought it was right. And now?" I asked, tilting my head. "Do you think it was right?" She hesitated. Maybe not." I studied her, noticing how forced her laughter with him earlier had seemed. That perfect image she tried to project was cracking. Subtly, but it was there. "Look at you," I said quietly, letting her ex walk past us. "All smiles, perfect life. But I see the cracks." She frowned, defensive now. "What do you mean?" "Nothing you can fix with charm," I said. "Nothing I can change for you either." Her hands trembled slightly. "James, please." "I didn't mean." "You didn't mean to hurt me." "Right." I let the words hang. Cold. Heavy. Her ex approached, hand on her shoulder. "Everything okay here?" he asked casually, unaware of the tension simmering beneath the surface. "Fine," I said. My voice cut through the crowd like steel. "Just catching up." He nodded, oblivious, and walked away. I watched him for a moment. Her hand lingered near his chest, and I noticed the subtle doubt in her eyes. A crack I didn't create, but a crack nonetheless. She turned back to me. "James." I wanted to explain. "You don't need to explain," I interrupted, calm but resolute. "I've heard enough. I've seen enough. And I've changed enough that your words don't matter anymore." Her lips parted, disbelief flashing in her eyes. You've really changed." I smiled faintly, a shadow of the old me, but sharper. "I have. And not for you. I'm no longer the man you can break." You're cold," she said, almost a whisper. "I'm focused," I corrected. "I don't waste energy on what's already dead. That includes us." She hesitated, like she wanted to reach out, but didn't. I thought maybe we could." "Don't," I said firmly. "That's not how this works anymore. I'm done being a pawn in your game." Her eyes darted toward her ex, then back to me. I could see panic. She realized the game had shifted. She wasn't in control. Not now. Not ever. I see, she said softly, voice trembling slightly. I nodded once, turning away. The crowd swallowed me, the noise of laughter and music filling the space between us. As I walked, I felt it, the power shift. The woman who once held my heart was now a distant shadow. And I was walking into my own story, one she no longer had the script for. I caught one last glimpse of her before the door opened to the night outside. Her ex's hand hovered near hers, uncertain. Her eyes met mine briefly, and in that instant, I knew she realized she had lost control. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. The fire inside me burned brighter than any regret she could ever project. The encounter had ended, but the game had just begun, and now I was the one writing the rules. I sat across from Adrian, stirring my coffee even though I wasn't going to drink it. I don't want to hurt her, I said. I just want her to feel what I felt. Adrian watched me closely. That's how it always starts, he replied. And that's how people lose themselves. I'm not losing myself, I said. I've never been more clear. He leaned forward. Then tell me your plan. I don't confront her, I said. I don't argue. I don't beg. I let the truth surface on its own. I just remove the mask. And how do you do that? He asked. By letting people see who she really is, I answered. The contradictions, the lies, the way she changes stories depending on who's listening. Adrian nodded slowly. Subtle, dangerous, effective. She lives on comfort, I continued. Validation, control. I don't attack her directly. I destabilize the ground under her feet. That sounds like revenge, he said calmly. It sounds like justice, I replied. Later that day, I met with Mar for marketing. You worked with her before, right? I asked. Mark smirked. Unfortunately. What? I'm just curious, I said lightly. Did you ever notice how her stories never line up? He laughed. All the time. One day she's loyal. Next day she's strategic. Depends on who's watching. I thought it was just me, I said. No, he replied. You weren't wrong. That was the first crack. At work, I stayed visible but quiet. I spoke less, listened more. When people talked about her, I never added lies. I only asked questions. Didn't she say something different last month? I'd ask gently. Or, I thought she was against that idea before. Seeds. Small ones. But seeds grow. Daniel tried to corner me again. You think you're clever, he said. Playing silent games. I smiled. Games are for people who don't understand outcomes. You planning something? He sneered. Already planned, I said. I'm just letting it unfold. He frowned, uncertain, and walked away. That night, I sat alone, staring at my phone. I could destroy her with one message. Screenshots. Proof. A single post. I didn't send it. What are you waiting for? I whispered to myself. Adrian's voice echoed in my head. Revenge feels powerful until it owns you. I clenched my jaw. I don't want blood, I said quietly. I want balance. The next day, Sarah pulled me aside. People are talking, she said softly. About what? I asked. About her, she replied. About inconsistencies. About trust. I nodded. I never said a word. I know, she said. That's what scares them. Her ex started showing cracks too. I overheard him once, voice tense. Why didn't you tell me that before? I forgot, she snapped. You forget a lot, he replied. I kept walking, heart steady. Adrian met me later that week. You're enjoying this, he said. I'm enjoying clarity, I corrected. And if she collapses? He asked. I hesitated. Then she learns. And if you become what you hate? He pressed. I met his gaze, then stopped me. He studied me for a long moment. You're walking a line, he said. Don't let anger choose your steps. I won't, I said. I choose control. When I saw her again, she smiled too brightly. You've been distant, she said. Busy, I replied. With what? She asked. With myself, I said calmly. Her smile faltered. I walked away, knowing the truth didn't need my voice anymore. It was already speaking for itself. I heard whispers before I saw them. People murmuring her name. Glances exchanged across the room. I stayed in the corner, coffee in hand, calm, letting the storm unfold without touching it. She's acting strange, a colleague muttered to another. Strange? You mean dishonest? The second replied. I smiled faintly. I didn't need to speak. The truth was spilling out on its own. Then I saw her ex, pacing near the hallway. Why didn't you tell me that? He asked sharply. I thought it wasn't important, she stammered. Not important? Everything is important. I leaned against the wall, listening. Every word, every pause fueled something inside me. Not hatred, not satisfaction, control. I had given her the power once. Now I held it all. Later, she spotted me. Her smile was forced. James, she said, voice light, almost playful. I raised an eyebrow. Hello. You're everywhere these days, she said, trying to sound casual. I'm living my life, I replied calmly. Not hers. Her eyes flickered. You're different. Cold. I've learned, I said, meeting her gaze evenly. Cold is better than weak. She hesitated, then softened. I didn't mean for things to get so messy. Didn't mean? I asked. You chose him. You lied to me. You broke me. I know, she whispered, and for a split second, I thought she might fall apart. You know, I asked quietly. Do you even understand what that means? Her lips trembled. I regret hurting you. I didn't answer. I let the words hang in the air, letting her feel them without me adding emotion. Later, I overheard her talking to a friend. I don't know why he's avoiding me. I've done nothing wrong. People see more than you think, the friend replied. Maybe it's not about what you did, but how you act. I felt a strange mix, satisfaction, yes, but also emptiness. Revenge was sweet, but hollow. I realized the thrill didn't fix the part of me that had loved her blindly. At a later moment, she cornered me near the staircase. James, can we talk? I looked at her, calm and steady. Talk about what? You've changed everything, she said, voice low. You're different, but I can't figure out how. I've changed because I chose to, I said. Not because of you. Not for you. Her eyes searched mine. I don't want to hurt you again. You already have, I said softly. And yet here you are, trying again. She flinched, realizing she couldn't manipulate me anymore. Her friends watched from the hallway, tense and whispering. Her ex lingered too, confusion etched across his face. You think you've won? She asked, voice shaking now. I didn't need to win, I replied evenly. I only needed to claim myself. That's victory enough. Her jaw tightened. You make it sound so easy. It's not, I said honestly. It took months to stop letting your choices define me. To stop being your reflection. She blinked, caught between anger and awe. You're really gone. The old you. I shook my head. Dead. Buried. I'm someone new now. And this, I gestured subtly at the gathering crowd, is the world adjusting to it. You're cold, she whispered again. Focused, I corrected softly. Cold is just a tool. Focus is a weapon. She stepped back, realizing she couldn't reach me emotionally. Her ex glanced at her, then at me, uncertainty written all over his face. I saw the first cracks in their perfect image, doubt, hesitation, imbalance. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. Karma was moving on its own. My influence was subtle, invisible, undeniable. Later, I walked away, the weight of the moment settling in. I had survived her lies, her manipulation. I had stayed calm when she tried to break me. I had let her world unravel without touching it directly. And yet, the emptiness lingered. Satisfaction, yes, but also a quiet echo of the love I had lost, the trust shattered, the man I had been. I glanced back once. She was standing still, eyes scanning the crowd, lost. Her ex approached her, hesitating, unsure. I smiled faintly and turned away. This was the turning point. Not her downfall, not my triumph, but the moment I realized the power wasn't in revenge, it was in me. And finally, I felt untouchable. I heard her voice before I saw her. James, please just talk to me. I didn't turn. I kept walking, the city lights reflecting off the wet pavement. Her footsteps followed, rapid, panicked. Why won't you answer me? She demanded, catching up. I stopped, letting her hover in my space without looking at her. Because I don't need to, I said evenly. Her eyes glistened with a mix of desperation and something else, fear. maybe regret. I made a mistake. Please, you have to believe me. I finally faced her, calm, controlled. I believed once. That's enough for a lifetime. She flinched. But I didn't mean for anything to hurt you. I can explain. I don't need explanations, I said softly, voice like steel. You've done enough talking for both of us. Her hand shook as she stepped closer. James, I miss you. I made a terrible mistake. You have to know that. I never stopped. You never stopped lying, I interrupted, cutting her off. You never stopped pretending. You never stopped choosing him over me. She faltered, taken aback by my calm precision. I thought. You thought you could manipulate me again? I asked quietly. You thought your charm would bend me back to you? Her lips trembled. I didn't want it to be like this. I thought I could fix things. You can't fix what you never understood, I said, stepping closer but not letting her invade my space. You underestimated me. You thought I'd crumble. You thought I'd beg. You thought I'd stay your pawn. Her voice wavered. I never realized. You never realized anything because you never cared to, I said. I gave you pieces of my life. You crushed them, and now you're seeing the consequences, but it's too late. I watch her ex approach, tense. What's going on? He asked, confusion and hurt flashing in his eyes. Nothing you need to know, I replied coolly. He hesitated, glancing at her. I don't understand. She said. Don't, I said quietly but firmly. You're realizing on your own. That's enough. She tried again, voice softening. James, I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. I didn't know. Save it, I said. Every word you speak now only confirms what I already know. Your apologies are just noise. Her ex stepped back, uncertainty written across his face. He looked at her, then at me, and the cracks in their perfect image became undeniable. I saw him questioning everything, and inside, I felt the smallest flicker of satisfaction. Not joy, just balance returning. I thought you'd come back, she said, almost whispering. I thought we could. You thought wrong, I said, voice calm, controlled. You've lost the right to define me. You've lost the power to touch me. You've lost the game before it even began. Her eyes widened. What are you talking about? I'm talking about reality, I said. The one where you underestimated me. The one where your choices finally have consequences. The one where you learn that people you break don't always stay broken. Some rise. Some thrive. Some watch quietly as you fall apart. Her hands shook, tears forming at the corners of her eyes. James, please. I'm done, I said simply. Done listening. Done caring. Done being your reflection. You can watch as your world crumbles. You can see him doubt you. You can feel the absence of control. That's your lesson. She looked around frantically. Her ex was no longer holding her hand. Friends whispered among themselves, exchanging glances that betrayed suspicion and mistrust. Her perfect life was unraveling, piece by piece, and I had not lifted a finger. I had only remained steady, patient, and above it all. I don't understand, she whispered. Why can't I fix this? Because this was never for you, I said, voice low, deliberate. This is for me. For every lie you told, every betrayal you planted, every ounce of trust you shattered. I am standing. You are falling. That's the difference. Her knees wobbled. Her ex stepped further away, unsure, hesitant. She realized, finally, that she had overplayed her hand. She had underestimated not only my pain, but my patience, my focus, my capacity to rise without her. I felt no joy, only the quiet, detached power of knowing the scales had finally tipped. Goodbye, I said, turning away. She called after me, voice desperate. James, please wait. I didn't look back. I walked into the night, calm, composed, untouchable. Behind me, her world was unraveling. Behind me, her ex's trust in her wavered. Behind me, friends whispered and speculated. I didn't need to interfere. I didn't need to gloat. Karma was at work, and I was merely a witness, steady and resolute. As I disappeared into the darkened street, I felt the first real peace in months. Not revenge, not satisfaction, just certainty. The reckoning had arrived, and I had survived it, untouchable, unbroken, and finally free. I walked into the cafe, the smell of coffee and faint music filling the air. It was familiar, comforting, but it was mine now, not hers. James! Sarah waved from the corner table. You're late. I needed a moment, I said, sliding into the seat across from her. She smiled knowingly. You've changed. Stronger. Calm. Untouchable. I chuckled softly. It took losing everything to find myself. She nodded. And it worked. You're different. Different, I repeated. Not bitter. Not vengeful. Just free. I thought of her. The one who had once held my heart like a fragile toy. I felt nothing but quiet clarity. She would never reach me again. Not physically, not emotionally. Do you ever think about her? Sarah asked cautiously. I paused, considering. Sometimes I admitted, not because I miss her, but because I needed to remember what I survived. Every lie, every betrayal, it forged me. You're incredible, she said softly. I don't know how you stayed so steady. I stopped trying to control her, I said, and instead, I controlled myself. That's the difference. Later that evening, I ran into her on the street. She froze. James! I stopped, keeping my distance. Hello. Her eyes searched mine, desperate. I thought maybe. Don't, I said quietly but firmly. There's nothing left between us. Not for you to fix. Not for me to revisit. But you've changed. You're strong now. You could. Could what? I asked, tilting my head. Return to something that never existed. Her lips trembled. I miss you. I shook my head. You miss an idea. Not me. The man you destroyed doesn't exist anymore. I do, but I'm gone from you forever. She stumbled, tears welling. James, please. I remained calm, almost painfully composed. I am at peace, I said, and you must find your own peace without me. Her ex appeared behind her, concern written on his face. Is everything okay? I'm fine, she whispered, voice breaking. I turned, nodding slightly to him. He'll figure out the cracks you ignored. That's enough for karma to unfold naturally. Her ex glanced at her, confusion and hurt mingling on his face. She realized, finally, that she had overestimated her influence, that I was no longer a variable in her life equation. Walking away, I felt the weight lift from my shoulders. Every step was mine. Every breath was unchained. I had survived betrayal, heartbreak, and manipulation. I had transformed pain into strength. I met Adrian later that night. So, you finally did it, he said quietly. I did, I replied. Not out of revenge, not out of cruelty. I simply left what was never mine to hold. I left the person I became untouched by her shadow. He nodded. And how does it feel? Liberating, I said. Empty at first, but clean. I carry no illusions, no regrets. Only lessons. Only growth. Sarah joined us briefly. You've earned this, James, she said. The world isn't cruel to everyone. Sometimes it gives a second chance to the ones who survive it. I smiled faintly. I found what matters now. People who see me, not a reflection of their desires. People who stay, not manipulate. That's my victory. The city lights glimmered outside, and I let myself breathe deeply. The man I had been, naive, trusting, broken, was gone. In his place stood someone unshakable, not hardened into bitterness, but tempered into clarity. I thought of her one last time, the girl who had held my heart and crushed it. She had taught me everything without trying. Pain, betrayal, heartbreak. They had forged me into someone she could never have again, and I was okay with that. You'll find happiness, I said aloud. Not to her, not to anyone, but to the empty street. Just not for me. Not ever. Sarah reached over, placing a hand on mine. You're really free now, aren't you? I nodded. I am. Free from her. Free from the past. Free to be the man I choose to be. Adrian added quietly, and that's rare. Few survive betrayal and remain themselves. I survived, I said, voice soft but resolute. And I will thrive. As I walked home that night, the cold air biting my cheeks, I felt the subtle thrill of survival, the quiet warmth of inner peace. Every step was mine. Every heartbeat belonged to me. The city moved around me, oblivious to my transformation, and that was perfect. I didn't need witnesses. I didn't need apologies. I didn't need her. I had everything I needed: clarity, strength, and the unshakable knowledge that the man she lost forever was me. And I was finally whole.